there. Today I want to talk about stencils. I use a lot of purchased stencils, but I also make my own. And these are purchased ones. This is from Studio Calico, the interlocking circles, and you can see this one has been used a lot. Some staining to it. Still works great. If I want something really, really detailed, I am going to have to purchase it. I'm going to show you how to cut these on the Cricut, but my experience with it is if it's really, really detailed, it's not going to come out that great. So something like these numbers that I got from the Crafters Workshop, that's a better one to purchase for me. Sometimes you can find some that are very inexpensive as well back in the craft area of or paint area of the crafting store. These I came from Michael's back in the paint department, and they're designed to be home sort of stencils, but I've used them on scrapbook pages. I'm getting a lot of mileage out of them. The price is not on here, but I think they were about $3, so very reasonably priced. You can, though, make your own stencils. You can, of course, cut them out of paper, but they'll last longer if you'll cut them out of stencil making material. And the product that I use is this, it's called Show Offs, and I get it from Hobby Lobby. The 6x18 stencil blanks, you get 3 of them for $2, or you can get the 12x18 or $4, and there's some other sizes as well. And it's a really nice quality material. This particular stencil is one you've probably seen. It's a popular design that you can purchase, but I didn't purchase it. I cut it using my Cricut and my Plantin schoolbook cartridge and some of the stencil making stuff in it. Probably took less than a minute to cut. Really, really fast. And of course you could use any other letter of the alphabet that you wanted, or other punctuation. Other things that I've cut, this is a design also from Plantin Schoolbook, and this is the it's part of the city or the grass one, but if you use the italic option, you'll get this rural scene with the trees. And because it's a solid image, you have both what cuts out as your image, and you have the inverse that you can also use. So you could use either one of these as a stencil on your page, depending on whether you wanted to color around it or color on the inside. And I'm going to show you how to do this one. We're going to cut the city one over on our Cricut. So let's go to there. Okay, I've loaded into my Cricut a mat with a piece of stencil material that's 3 inches by 12 inches, and I want to cut this design from the Plantin Schoolbook cartridge. This is the city design, so I'm going to choose that option, and it'll show up over here on my screen. Okay. And I've got it set at 2 1/4 inches high. I figured out that was a good height. We'll see when I go to cut it, it'll tell me if it's too large for the paper. But I want to choose the multi-cut option. And the reason is so that it will go over it twice and it will cut out really good, because this is a thick material. If you haven't used multi-cut before, you may need to go into settings. And when you go to settings, you use the OK key to move through the options until you get to the one. I think I went past it. There it is, multi-cut. And multi-cut will be either 2 times, 3 times, or 4 times. I found that 2 times works fine for my cutting blade and mat. You can experiment a little bit with maybe a scrap piece of your stencil material to see, and a small image, to see how much you're going to need to cut. You may not even need to use multi-cut at all. But I'm going to leave mine multi-cut, and I'll just put settings again to save that. And it'll show me the city image again. Okay. And I'm ready to cut. Back over it a second time because I told it that I wanted it to cut it twice. Okay, here's my city image. And because there was some fine detail in here, it did tear, or it didn't exactly tear it, but twisted what was left of it a little bit. So in this case, I'm probably only going to be able to use this cutout and not use the inverse. So I still got a nice cutout. I could go back and cut it a little bit larger, and it might not tear there. So, you know, those are the kinds of things you run into sometimes with the Cricut, and just have to play with them a little bit, but I'm still pleased with this particular image. Now let's do one more thing, and this time we'll use the Storybook cartridge, one of my favorite cartridges, and one of my favorite images is this flourishy, swirly kind of thing. And this is also going to be one of those like the ampersand where there's going to be stuff in the middle that's going to fall out, so I'm only going to be able to use really what it cuts out, not what's left. But I can cut this lovely border and get a really nice image. Okay, I want to use the swirl design from the Storybook cartridge, so I'm going to need to do Shift and the 2 and the tall border option. And I have, I'm about to turn on multi-cut. You can do that at any point before you press cut. So I'll do Shift, and I have tall border here turned on, and the number 2. And that will show me my swirl design. I have a 6 by 12 inch stencil loaded, and I've tested at 4 inches on some regular paper, and that worked, but I'm going to see if I can bump that up just a little bit here to 4.5. If it won't cut on that, it will tell me when I go to cut. Now I'm getting an error that it won't fit, so I need to reduce the size. Canceling. And I went down to 4 1/4. And that will work. So apparently 4 inches was it. So I'm down to 4 inches. I still have the design that I want, and I'm ready to press cut. Cut it twice on the stencil material. Okay, and here's my design. Just going to peel this off. A little bit there out of the middle. Okay. And now I've got a great design for a stencil. Okay, I have one more design for you. Remember this one that I purchased? It wasn't really quite large enough for a project that I had in mind. I needed a circle design that was a little bit bigger. So I've cut my own using the Cricut. One of the many advantages to cutting your own stencils is you can make them whatever size you want. And this is also from the Storybook cartridge, and it's this flower design under the letter I. So I have a larger design now for what I had in mind. So here are all my different things that I've cut for this video, and thank you for joining me today. I hope you're inspired to try your die cutter out with these stencils. I don't know whether the Silhouette products work, but as I say, I do know that the Cricut does. And of course there are other die cutting products out on the market, so give them a try and make up some of your own stencils for some custom projects. Thank you.